Hey guys, so what you just saw me do is basically just the kind of the step one prep for this bamboo. And the reason I started using a knife is because, well, I started out using like little landscaping cutters, and it just doesn't, it's just not an efficient way, because if you can use a really sharp knife, you can actually go ahead and start to smooth out those spots where those little branches are growing out of the nodes. And so I just found that that's just a way more efficient way to go. And now all I need to do is go ahead and start curing it, and maybe deciding what section of the bamboo that I'm going to use for my next project. Or I may actually do like a mass production preparation process where I process a bunch just like you saw me do here, and actually cure them completely, bottom to top, and that way I've got pretty much any section readily available. There's a couple different approaches you can have, but we'll talk more into that here in a second. Let's go ahead and show you kind of my expedited process on curing this stuff and getting it ready to be used for crafts. The length of these stalks is how far out the rhizomes will grow. So if you've got a bamboo upshoot that's over 30 foot tall, then you can expect that you could have, you know, upshoots that are 30 feet out from that. Now, is that a little scary? Yes. But just having that knowledge, though, can help you understand how to stop that spread. The root system actually it's very shallow. It's not very deep. It only goes down maybe a few inches at most. In my case, this breed I can only speak for this exact breed, but you can literally go and just cut that rhizome, and that stops that spread. And then continuous mowing, like if it's a yard, anywhere you mow, this stuff will not keep trying to come up there. It just eventually gives up. It's all about energy with this bamboo. And that's one of the things I'm fascinated by. There's only like 3 months out of the year that this bamboo will sprout new shoots. And it's like March through May or something like that. It's only a few months out of the year. And if you can just be observant during that time period, you can actually very easily control where your bamboo is growing. The problem comes in when you have a huge plantation or a huge nursery like I have, and you can't necessarily access the around it, which is why I'm actually in the middle of creating a path to maintain a perimeter around the bamboo. So the problem is it gets so thick that people can't access around it. And so therefore that's why they recommend not planting it in a suburban area where it could potentially spread into a neighbor's yard, is because you may not be able to get access to keep that from happening. But I am on a journey of my own to create a path around it, which is pretty easy. As you can see, I've already started a little path that's where I actually was sitting and cutting the branches off of this thing. It didn't take long to actually get that path going. As long as I cut that path wide enough for my mower, and the ground is, you can drive on it, which I may have some stumps that I'm going to find, and maybe some piles of whatever that I'm going to have to clear out. But once I establish a pathway for my mower, it's just a simple matter of, going down that path, and that will basically maintain my perimeter. And if I see any rhizomes, which I will cut them. And it's that simple. And just that path alone will do a lot. You may have one or two upshoots that are, so far out. Having that path around there, I think, will help me out and help me be able to maintain it better. The funny thing about this bamboo is, depending on what part of the country you're in, or the world you're in, I'm sorry, like Japan, for example. Japan, like having this on your property in Japan increases your property value tremendously. Why? Because it's a very usable thing. It's kind of interesting how, depending on what era you're living in, or what time, or what part of the world you're living in, you could have a nuisance, or you could have an asset, which I think is another thing that's very interesting about bamboo. You want to, whenever you pick a piece of bamboo to cut and actually use, they say to use a piece that is 3 to 5 years old. And the reason for that is, between 3 and 5 years is when the fibers are at their most durable, and it's just more durable at that point. How do you know how old they are? By looking at them. Well, that is just either paying attention to new shoots and knowing when that thing actually started, or you can actually mark them. You can use a Sharpie or just any kind of permanent. You can just put a piece of colored paint on them, and that's how you can sort of keep track of their age. Other than that, just by tapping them with something metal, you can kind of start to learn the differences in how dense the wood is. But, it's kind of just a general thing. It's not necessarily absolute. If you're not building anything, this is the small bamboo. This isn't the big, big bamboo that you would use for any kind of real support structure. So it's kind of just up to you, really, I think. Now, I'm just now starting, so don't take what I say as, sure, for sure. But I'm just speaking on generalities as far as what I'm doing. And I'm just doing just little crafts, little, little coasters and stuff like that, picture frames. And so, it's not as crucial for me. But now, if I was going to work on something that was maybe a bridge, or something bigger, something that, maybe like a hammock, or something that had to have real good safety support, then absolutely you want to pick wood between 3 to 5 years old. That way it's the strongest it can be. And so, anyway. There's two different approaches that I can go on here. I can literally I can look at this piece of bamboo and I can decide, well, I think this is the size that I'm going to use for my craft. Or I could literally go up to the skinnier side of this bamboo, and I could say, well, I think my craft is better to have this size. And so one of the approaches that I've had in the past is I will just choose what section of the stalk or the stick that I would use for my project. Well, what I'm learning is I'm using multiple sizes for even just one project. So I'm thinking the more efficient way to go from here, from now going forward, is to go ahead and prep the entire thing. That way, if I need this section or this size for my project, it'll at least already be cured or seasoned. For years, what people have done with bamboo is let it dry out in the open sun to let it cure. and it takes time. Depending on the time of year, it can take weeks or even a month, even months, to let it get to the point where it's looks like it's seasoned. We can go ahead and mass prepare a bunch for possibly like a flower bed border, or maybe like a little, just any kind of border, maybe fencing, or maybe if you were going to do like a panel or a door or something like that, then we would do what I'm actually going to do with this one. As you can see, this thing is so green that even with a torch with matte gas, even with this, it's fighting it. But what I've learned is give it a little elbow grease. This was literally just cut down not even 2 days ago, and you can see how much it's already pretty close. Let's put this brush on here. I'm just curious. Yeah, I mean, you can definitely make a lot more progress with power tools, obviously, but you know, just an example. Now, if I let this sit for a little longer, maybe a day or two outside, you'll make even more progress a lot easier. But you know, I just wanted to kind of bring you guys along with some of the first things that I did with this stuff, and I actually ended up, you could do a lot with just one stalk of this. You can actually go ahead and cut and use this material, and you can actually build whatever craft you want, and then just let it dry out. You don't necessarily have to wait to use the material. I mean, the material is going to be the material whether you use it or not. It's just some crafts need it to be cured beforehand, because, like, you know, when you go to like attach two pieces, you're going to want it to be cured and dried, and that way you can glue it and all that. But you can at least go ahead, prep your pieces, and then let them dry. Just, you know, it's just more information behind the scenes of, you know, what I've learned with this stuff. But so I sort of built a picture frame out of it. This was prototype number 1. And it's really not legit, because it's kind of just a rectangle with like these, I called them retainers, and then I picked up one of these from Michael's for a few dollars, and you can use it as a picture frame. But problem is, well, there's a couple problems. Number one, it's 2 picture frames, so it's not a legit bamboo frame. And problem number 2 is, even when you use it like this and you put a picture in here, you can see like a gap around through here. So that was prototype number 1 for the picture frame. Then I rolled into prototype number 2, where I actually am still working on basically enclose the glass within the frame. And as you can see, this little strip right here at the bottom, I don't know if you can see that strip right there. That is part of how, well, it could be part of the design. I could do that all around. It could just be part of the design, but I'm going to use that concept, and what it is, it's just a thin slice of bamboo. This is where you get into the nitty gritty of like bamboo crafts and stuff. So you cut these small little strips of it, and You can use it for baskets, all kinds of different things. But what I'm going to be using it for is a backing for my picture, to hold my picture inside the inside of the frame. I'll show you that real quick. So you imagine this is your picture. Now the picture is going to be a little thicker than this paper, but it'll still have the same kind of deal. And what it does, this little stripping can, like, you know, it'll hold the picture in. And the plan is to put these strips in all the way up to, you know, pretty high up. That way, you know, when I want to put my picture in here, I just literally just slide it in like that, you know, and it'll hold the picture in. The problem I have so far with that idea is on the ends, it's real tight. So basically, you need to build your frame a little bigger than I did. I knew that, but it has to be even a little bit bigger than I thought. That way you have enough space to get the picture in there and get it centered. But you know, hey, it's a world of its own with bamboo, and there's a lot to learn about it. There's a video I watched the other night. There's a bamboo guru, had his hands in bamboo for pretty much his whole life. He recommended some books, and I'll put a link. I think I'll try to put a link down in the description to that video. And it's just really incredible the knowledge this guy has about it, and definitely learned a few things from him. And a lot of the things I've learned I've already forgotten. It's so much information. But I'll post a link to that video down in the description. And until next time, guys, thanks for the love. Thanks for tuning in. And, you know, stay classy, but get dirty. And thanks for subscribing and all the love you can give. So I'll see you in the next episode, where we go into another step of this bamboo journey.